I don't know what to think of the Washington Wizards right now. Part of me believes in what they're doing and the moves that they're making could potentially make an impact towards winning games, but also part of me thinks that this is not really doing much. That none of these moves are really going to make that much of an impact. Now, one thing I will say overall is that the moves that they've made to get Anthony Davis and Trae Young have gave the fans something to look forward to. But as far as winning games, um, I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? Part of me, like I said, part of me believes in the moves that they're making, but part of me doesn't believe that it's not really going to translate like people think it is. And I do think that some people need to calm down on the hype as far as the Washington Wizards won by a landslide, won this trade by a landslide, um, or the Washington Wizards are starting to become a threat. Now I think we need to all calm down because the two stars that they did trade for, though they're some of the most premium stars of the NBA, in that any team will probably look forward to getting them, or any team will probably want them. Um, there still is some inconsistencies within their game. And when I say that, I mean Anthony Davis as far as injuries, him being on the court, because when he's on the court, he's a top five, top 10 player, undoubtedly. You know what I'm saying? But it's just about him being on the court, you know. And you have Trae Young, where sometimes, his performance hinders the team, given that he's not a great defender, and when he's not scoring the ball or taking care of the ball like he should, then he's hurting the team even more. You know what I'm saying? So I do think those two inconsistencies are not really going to mix well with each other, especially if Anthony Davis doesn't play. You get what I'm saying? Because I think that's the biggest thing with him, and that's the biggest thing with this situation is it's not the fact that Anthony Davis is not a great player. You know, if he would stay healthy throughout most of his career, he would have been a Hall of Fame player. You know what I'm saying? One of the greatest players ever. But it's just he just does not stay on the court, and I think that's the biggest thing. And the reason why I say people need to calm down on the hype, because though, you know, as far as names, they're two of the biggest names that the Wizards probably ever had. Um, I do, I just don't think that it's going to translate to winning games. You know what I'm saying? Like people think it is. Like as far as on paper, they're looking like at least a seventh to eighth seed in the East, maybe even a sixth or fifth. But when you given the given the history of these two players, I don't think it's going to really translate like how people think it is. Um, but I do think, like I said, overall, fans and it gives the Washington Wizards fans something to look forward to. But also, I do think as far as development, I think it's perfect. You know, given that the Wizards have had a young team, they got a lot of young guards combined with, you know, a rookie big man or a big man um, that they just got in Alex Sarr. So I do think the pairing of Anthony Davis and Alex Sarr, as far as the developmental part of it, I do think that it's a perfect move because given that Alex Sarr is pretty much a defensive minded type of center, he impacts the game more defensively. I do think Anthony Davis, that's a perfect comparison between those two. Um, and outside of that, as far as the young guards and them and Trae Young, I do think Trae Young's playmaking ability could slow the game down uh, for not just Alex Sarr, but also the young guards. It can open the game up for him because of how much pressure Trae Young puts on offenses. You know what I'm saying? Even though, like I said earlier, that Sometimes he may be a liability offensively. Um, he still puts pressure on offenses. Like you still have to watch out for where Trae Young is at all times. Um, but I just think this move, it opens the game up. It opens the game up for everybody on their team. You know what I'm saying? Given that they were so young, and I think that these two moves in Trae Young and Anthony Davis give them a sense of direction of to go to. I do think these two moves also help them organization wise. You know what I'm saying? It helps them as an organization because these past, ever since John Wall and Bradley Beal, nobody ever knew what direction the Wizards was going in. You know what I'm saying? They ended up trading for recently Chris Middleton and CJ McCollum, and mixed in with the young players like AJ Johnson and Trey Johnson. Um, it's just they had so much going on within that organization. You really didn't know what direction they're going in, but now it seems like they have a direction they're going in. And though these two players um, is a gamble, um, I think these two players is definitely, it's a gamble to invest your future into these two players. But if there's one organization that can be able to make this gamble and it pay off more times than not, it's the Washington Wizards. Because like I said, even though they haven't even played a game yet, Anthony Davis and Trae Young are probably the two biggest names that the Wizards have ever had. Probably not even probably. They are the two biggest names that the Washington Wizards ever had. You know what I'm saying? Now I know you could say John Wall and Bradley Beal, but Anthony Davis, let's be honest, he's, the bigger name than John Wall and Bradley Beal. You know what I'm saying? The better player than John Wall and Bradley Beal. You know what I'm saying? And that's no disrespect. But like I said, when Anthony Davis is on the court, he's a top 5, top 10 player. You know, it's just about him being on the court. And I think that's what's going to be the biggest factor. Can this team keep the injuries to a minimum? Because if they can keep the injuries to a minimum and find a sense of consistency, identity towards their team, because I do think that the biggest thing with this team is going to be the consistency and identity. Because those are the two things that the Washington Wizards have always been missing. Consistency and identity. And when I say consistency, I mean being able to win games consistently, having a sense of of energy every single night. Like, cause there's been some games where, or these past years, the Wizards have pretty much been unwatchable. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like even when you watch the games, you can tell that this is just not a real NBA team. They are NBA players, but this is just not an NBA team. And now, um, it just gives them a new and if they can find an identity, something that they can hang their hat on, because that's what some of the best teams in the NBA have, is an identity. Whether it's running in transition, whether it's defense, whether it's uh, speed, whether it's we're going to play physical. It's just they need to find an identity. And I think this is a step in the right direction. It's, but yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure what to think of this. Me personally, for a development aspect of it, I do think that this is a great move for the Wizards. And an organization aspect of it, this is a great move. But as far as winning games, I don't think it's really going to translate like how people think it is. Because you have two players that really haven't been consistent these last few years. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Trae Young has been the assist leader and, been dropping 20, 30, 25 a night. But as far as defense and having a winning culture, he hasn't been a part of that yet. So I think that's where the inconsistent part of his game is coming from. Um, but yeah, we'll see. Me personally, I just think development and organization wise, this is a step in the right direction. It gives them a sense of hope for the future. But as far as winning and trying to get into the playoffs and eventually become a contender, uh, you move the needle a little bit, but I do think they still need a lot of help. And Trae Young and Anthony Davis still might not be the answer. You get what I'm saying? So I appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Do those 3 things for me right now. Did you do it? I'm looking at. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Time is ticking. I'm looking at my wrist card. I'm waiting for you to do it. Come on, man. I'm not really asking you to do much. Did you do it? You did it? All right, cool. Appreciate it. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one.